All right, everybody, welcome back. We've got more offensive stragglers, and these are all going to be offensive line guys, just guys who slipped my notice. And for one reason or another, they are now under my notice. Travis Glover, I think this is a top 30 visit for the Seahawks, Georgia State guy. You do find that you wouldn't expect teams to use top 30 visits on low level guys like this. But every team seems to use a few on guys like this because I think they're trying to scout out UDFAs. So I know it seems a little bit counterintuitive to use a top 30 visit when you only get 30 of them on a guy like this, but teams do it, and it works for them. Going to be 25 when the season starts. He's got good size. I couldn't find his hand size, but he's 6'6", 317 pounds, and 34 and 3/4 arms. So he's got NFL caliber size for sure. Couple of seasons at Georgia State, he was okay. 5 sacks allowed, 6 hits, and 13 hurries. Now, it's not great. The PFF grade was below average last year and okay last year, but below average 2 years ago and okay last year, but overall, underwhelming. He's got a wide body with long arms, really hard to get around him. He can protect to the sides because he's got so much coverage to that area. He's got a really nice latch. It's firm and hard to undo. He's also got the strength to drive block defenders out, so he can actually just use his leg drive to push somebody out of the play. And even though he's not a very good athlete, and that is certainly worth noting, he is somebody who can kick out to the second level and lay down blocks. He does have experience doing it. He's just not super agile. He's got experience doing it, though. So he's not an athletic or explosive mover. I know I don't have testing numbers for him, but he's not that kind of a player. Not athletic, not explosive. Speed rushers, even though he's hard to get around, a speed rusher is just going to beat him to the edge reliably, and it's still going to give him trouble. And he played at Georgia State, so we're not even talking about a high level of competition here. He doesn't have to deal with a Dallas Turner. He doesn't have to deal with a Jared Verse. He's dealing with guys that will never make, or not even going to try to make it in the NFL by and large. So I think he's draftable. I think he should move inside to guard probably. I think his run blocking is going to make him a capable guard, but his lack of agility will make it hard for him to cut it at tackle at the NFL level. But I do think he's generally competent and has some decent versatility to him. So I think he's worth a 7th-round pick. Maybe not necessarily here with the zone scheme we're trying to implement, but at the same time, he's not athletic, but he is capable of laying down move blocks, so maybe he'd be okay there too. I'm not counting anything out. So, yeah, I would say this guy is borderline draftable, and I'd be okay using a pick on him. Okay, this next guy is really tough. Michael Jerrell. Michael Jerrell, a guard from Findlay. Findlay. Um, Never heard of Findlay. Don't know where they play, but Michael Jerrell played for them. I was able to find some stuff because he did have some testing numbers, and I'll say this. He looks the part. He's got almost 34-inch arms, 9 1/4 hands. He's 310 pounds, 6'4", and his testing numbers are out of this world. Incredible 40, 98th percentile 40. 1 6 9 10 yard split. These are elite testing numbers. Monstrous vert, pretty good broad. Change of direction stuff, not so much. Bench press was average. So it's not all great, but what is great is special. This guy might be a great fit for his zone blocking scheme. The only big board I found him on was the aggregate, and they put him down in the 600s, so don't get it twisted. I'm not pounding the table for this guy, but there's something here. Elite quickness for a guy who's 310 pounds. He understands leverage, and a lot of these guys don't. A lot of even really good offensive linemen don't know how to use leverage. This guy does. He's got high football IQ and awareness. He's always kind of got his head on a swivel looking around trying to find a guy to block. And he showed the ability to cover a lot of ground. He showed the ability to be a pull blocker, the ability to be a lead blocker out into the second level. He can do that stuff. Physically, he can do it. So there is an interesting mold of clay here that you might be able to sculpt. Now, he can't really deal with counter moves. Counter moves are going to eat him up. Refined pass rushers, and we're talking about the kind of pass rushers he plays at a school like Findlay. We're not even talking about real elite pass rushers. They do give him trouble. He's got a lot of work to do to catch up to be at the NFL level. Findlay to the NFL is a really tough one to overcome. And fundamentally, he's just a little bit unsound, I think. Fundamentally, I think like his hand placement, I think his ability to hit moving targets, it's all just a little bit shaky, and he needs time. He needs a coach to really bring him along the right way. So, I just realized I forgot to write an evaluation on him. Well, I mean, I wrote it, but obviously it's been deleted now. So I guess I'll just have to come up with something on the fly here. I don't think you can draft this guy because, I mean, you're just going to be a laughing stock if you draft a guy from Findlay, right? You don't need to, but you want to bring him in as a priority UDFA, as somebody that maybe your coaches can mold on the practice squad. Okay, I can dig it, but I don't think there's enough here to justify a pick, even though I love the athleticism. All right. Final offensive lineman, final offensive guy in this video, and final offensive guy of this entire series, Jacob Monk. And I feel bad that I missed this guy the first time because he's actually good. Duke, Blue Devil, center, 24 years old, 6'3", 308 pounds, 32 3/8 arms. So legitimate center size, 10-inch hands. Testing numbers are great for a center. His 10-yard split was the fastest 10-yard split I've ever seen from a center. That's not an exaggeration. I literally looked at Mock Draftable, could not find a faster one for a guy who was drafted as a center. 50940 is really good. The vert's good. The broad's really good. So he's a great athlete at center. ESPN has him in the 5th. CBS has him in the 7th. The aggregate has him at the back end of the 7th. PFF grades have been about average last 2 years. Only allowed 1 sack, 6 hits, and 26 hurries. So it's not all great, but you can see the immense potential here. You can see why there should be some interest. He's very athletic, shows up positively when he's on the move. When you see him lead blocking in space, climbing up to the second level, it looks good. It looks natural, it looks normal, and it's fast. He hits with a lot of pop when making initial contact, hits with a lot of force. He's got a ton of starting experience. I think he was a 5-year starter at Duke, and he was a locker room leader and 2-time team captain for Duke. So you are getting somebody who does have those leadership attributes. And just because he's, mobile and agile, it doesn't mean he doesn't have strength. He does have the strength to drive defenders out of the hole sometimes. Now, at the NFL level, that strength might not hold up, but there's some impressive stuff here with Jacob Monk's profile. Some of the issues that he has, as I see it, he exposes his chest to pass rushers. He kind of keeps his arms too far apart. And when, as an offensive lineman, you have your arms too far apart, you let defensive linemen get into your chest, and then they have control of the rep. So he's got to clean that up. While he is really, really agile and mobile, there are some issues with him being able to hit moving targets. So he's got to clean that up, or else it's not going to be worth as much as it should be. And sometimes he loses his balance and bends at the waist when he's going into a block, which puts you in a bad position. So he's got to clean that up as well. But these are things that can be fixed. So he's fascinating. I think that this is a guy who's athletic and mobile, but he doesn't sacrifice a ton in the other areas. He's not weak. He's actually fairly strong. He's got decent power. He's smart. So I actually like this a lot, and I would put him in the 5th round. I don't know why I wouldn't take this guy in the 5th round and say I know he hasn't been a great player, but he's been playing at a real university for years, and look at the athletic profile. All right. See you guys later. Another video coming soon. Go Hawks.